Stop what you're doing because this is not just another celebrity breakup. This is the kind of revelation that makes Hollywood stop in its tracks and leaves fans feeling stunned. After months of rumors, cryptic posts, and suspicious silence, Pierre has finally spoken out. What he shared about his breakup with Teyana Taylor is shaking the internet like never before. This was not the neat, respectful split that tabloids tried to convince us of. It wasn't about busy schedules or mutual understanding. This was a story filled with emotional tension, buried secrets, and a truth so explosive it was never supposed to come out. The breakup didn't happen quietly. It was quietly silenced. Conversations ended abruptly, messages were ignored, and insiders now reveal that the reality was very different from what the public saw. Leaked voice notes, private exchanges, and subtle interactions behind closed doors show that their relationship was far from what fans imagined. When that private world finally cracked open, the consequences couldn't be contained. Social media noticed before the news did. Unfollows, deleted likes, and tension that you could feel without a single word. Aaron's recent hints about what really happened are revealing that this wasn't just a breakup. It was a collision of pride, ambition, heartbreak, and unspoken resentment, the kind that leaves lasting scars. The split didn't start with a public announcement. It began with silence so loud that everyone around them could feel it. For weeks, friends and insiders noticed changes. Texts that once came quickly took hours, calls went unanswered, and plans stopped happening. Both knew something was wrong, but neither wanted to be the first to admit it. According to sources close to them, the first signs weren't dramatic. They were quiet, subtle, and dangerous. Aaron, at the height of his career and traveling constantly, began asking questions about their time together. His questions seemed reasonable, but they carried a deeper frustration. Why did he always have to fight for moments with her? Why did time together feel rushed and squeezed between work commitments? Why did it feel like they were living in separate worlds despite being close physically? Teyana, on the other hand, was overwhelmed. Friends say she felt pressure from fans, studios, and a demanding industry that never allowed her to rest. Aaron's questions, though not accusatory, felt like an additional burden she couldn't handle. Misunderstanding grew. One side felt ignored, the other felt judged, and neither felt truly understood. Then came the private messages. Leaked screenshots showed exchanges that were emotional, heavy, and painful. Nothing scandalous, but enough to reveal their struggle. Aaron allegedly asked if love was supposed to feel like constant waiting, while Teyana replied that she was trying her best and didn't understand why it wasn't enough. These messages showed how emotional honesty can become a weapon instead of a bridge when timing is wrong. The turning point reportedly came during a private gathering meant to be relaxed. The tension was visible immediately. Forced smiles, minimal touch, and deliberate distance. A conversation about future plans turned into quiet, sharp words that cut deeply. Aaron admitted he felt erased from her life, always waiting, always adjusting. Teyana responded that no matter what she gave, it was never enough. That night changed everything. Their relationship wasn't just struggling. It had transformed into two people standing on opposite sides of the same dream. After that, everything shifted. Officially, they hadn't split yet, but something essential in their connection was gone. Attempts to repair the bond only made the cracks deeper. Fans, unaware, continued shipping them online, while insiders watched a slow-motion collapse. Social media noticed first. Likes disappeared, comments vanished, milestones were ignored. Then a rumored voice note circulated. A short clip of Aaron, calm but exhausted, admitting he could no longer pretend everything was fine. Teyana's response, a heavy silence, said more than any argument could. In that moment, the relationship crossed a line it couldn't come back from. When the breakup became public, it appeared neat and mutual. But behind the polished announcement, months of emotional strain had been building, one difficult conversation at a time. The aftermath brought exposure, emotional fallout, and private struggles that neither of them could control. Aaron felt a sudden weight, questioning if he had been too patient, while Teyana, always busy, finally faced the quiet moments she had tried to outrun. Screenshots and voice notes leaked afterward revealed the raw, unfiltered pain of two people who loved but couldn't find a way to hold on. This wasn't casual. It wasn't PR. It was a real connection breaking under timing, ambition, and unmet emotional needs. A story far more complicated than anyone could have imagined. Aaron allegedly questioned why it always felt like he had to adjust, bend, and compromise while Teyana seemed to keep moving forward effortlessly. Teyana, on the other hand, reportedly fired back, saying she was exhausted from being made to feel guilty for pursuing her dreams, the work she had spent her entire life building. There were no raised voices, no dramatic shouting matches, but the tension in their conversation was immense. Sometimes, calm conversations carry the heaviest weight, and that was certainly true here. Insiders say the most shocking part wasn't anger, it was grief. Both of them reportedly broke down, not because they wanted to reconcile, but because they finally realized the truth. Timing had torn them apart, and some things couldn't be fixed. That realization is devastating because it leaves no villain, no clear closure, only loss. After that conversation, everything changed. Communication slowed, the tone between them grew harder, and invisible walls went up around their hearts. Hollywood, of course, doesn't allow quiet heartbreak to remain private for long. Fans began speculating, reading between every line, dissecting interviews, and twisting vague comments into clues. One viral clip showed Aaron hesitating when asked about love and balance during a press event. That tiny pause became a symbol, sending social media into a frenzy. Even celebrities started reacting subtly but noticeably. Mutual friends stopped mentioning either of them publicly, A-listers liked posts they usually ignored, and rumors began circulating that the story was bigger than anyone had imagined. Shortly after, insiders claim Aaron recorded a private conversation intended only for a close friend. In it, he allegedly spoke honestly about feeling sidelined emotionally, about shrinking his own needs to make the relationship work, and about realizing too late that love without shared presence can still feel like loneliness. That recording never officially surfaced, but the rumor alone spread like wildfire. Fan communities erupted. Some accused Aaron of playing the victim, while others defended Teyana, pointing out the immense pressures placed on women in the industry. The situation escalated quickly, turning a private heartbreak into a public spectacle. Behind the scenes, damage control went into overdrive. Publicists urged silence, statements were drafted and discarded, interviews were redirected, anything to slow the fallout. But feelings don't follow PR strategies. Aaron reportedly confided that he often felt erased, invisible in a relationship he had invested in deeply. That phrase alone leaked just enough to ignite another wave of speculation. Fans interpreted it as proof of neglect, imbalance, and emotional disconnect. Teyana, meanwhile, was reportedly blindsided by how her silence was being twisted. Friends say she never intended the breakup to become a debate about ambition or emotional availability. To her, the relationship had been real and meaningful but ultimately incompatible with the life she was leading. Then came the message that insiders claim finally drew a line. Allegedly sent by Teyana, it wasn't an argument or an apology, it was a boundary. It expressed the need for space, not just to heal, but to protect herself from a story she no longer recognized. That message reportedly devastated Aaron because it confirmed what he feared most. The emotional distance between them had become permanent. From that moment, the breakup was no longer a shared experience. It became something each had to survive on their own. Aaron reportedly withdrew, focusing inward, reflecting on a love that had moved faster than his heart could follow. Teyana, true to her nature, stayed busy. Public appearances, studio sessions, and work commitments created a polished exterior that hid her private struggles. Friends say both of them grappled with their feelings alone, while fans and the media turned every gesture, every social media post, into a sign, a clue, or a judgment. Allegedly, a detailed timeline exists, a chronological account of missed calls, unanswered messages, and emotional exchanges, circulated only among trusted insiders. It reportedly reframes the entire story, not as a tale of villain versus victim, but as a slow erosion caused by incompatible emotional rhythms. Still, even that context couldn't stop the internet from picking sides. Clips were taken out of context, comments turned vicious, and fan communities went dark or exploded depending on who they supported. Amid all this, Aaron reportedly recorded a long private video, raw and unfiltered, expressing the depth of his feelings. Loving someone whose pace of life exceeded his own, shrinking his needs to avoid burdening her, and realizing too late that loving someone doesn't mean losing yourself. The video hasn't been released, but the knowledge it exists hangs like a ticking time bomb. Teyana, meanwhile, is said to have drawn a firm line. No public explanations, no subtle defenses, no emotional breadcrumbs, protecting her peace and her legacy, even at the cost of being misunderstood. Weeks passed and online anger cooled, but curiosity intensified. Insiders hinted that a clarifying moment was coming. Not a tell-all, but a definitive statement that could stop speculation. All eyes turned to Aaron, believed to be closest to breaking. Then, during a low-key appearance, he said something that sent shockwaves through fans. When asked about lessons from love, he paused and said, "Sometimes protecting someone you care about means letting the world misunderstand you." That single line was enough to reignite conversations, debates, and theories. Was he protecting her or protecting himself? The ambiguity fueled endless speculation. Even a quiet, final conversation between them reportedly could not erase lingering tension. While they may have agreed privately that their shared history would remain theirs, some truths don't disappear simply because two people choose silence. Multiple insiders now say there is still one unreleased piece of this story, waiting to surface. Not scandal, not betrayal, but a deeply emotional truth that could change the narrative forever. When it comes out, it won't be polished or packaged. It will be raw, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. This breakup was never just a breakup. It was a collision of timing, ambition, identity, and emotional needs. A relationship that burned brightly and collapsed quietly, leaving behind questions louder than any public statement. And as fans continue to debate, theorize, and dissect every detail, one thing is clear: the story is far from over. The next revelation, insiders swear, will change everything again, and the internet will explode all over. What we've seen so far is only the calm before the next storm.